It's time for Dallas Cowboys color analyst Babe Laufenberg every Thursday at 8:40 here with Shan, RJ, and Bobby as we get you set for the Cowboys and the Bengals Monday Night Football. Good morning, Babe. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing great. And let me just say, fake tree all day long.
There you go.
All day.
Tolo. All day.
How tall for yours?
Oh, I don't have a big tall one. I only have 8 ceilings. But here's the deal, too. If you have kids, you got to go because you want to go pick it, and they love picking it and doing all that stuff. But once they get all they care about what's under the tree. They don't care what's above the presents. They just want to know what's underneath the tree.
Yeah, what age do the kids get tired of decorating it?
Yeah,
Mine have never helped me once.
No?
No.
Really?
They have no desire.
Oh, gosh. We used to make it a big kind of night.
Yeah.
It was like a full night.
Yeah.
And I'd go about halfway through, then I'd be drunk about halfway through, and I'd say, kids, finish up. Dad's going up to have another glass of wine. You guys knock yourself out here. Okay, hey, you ready? And this coming from a man who worked at a Christmas tree lot.
You?
Wow.
In high school.
All right, how much were the trees back in the 40s?
Oh, God. They weren't 40. Honestly, I can't remember, but I'll bet you they're like $20 or something.
Yes.
$20?
Something like that.
Yeah, dude.
With those California prices?
Yes, California. That was Los Angeles, baby.
All right, you got your trivia partner back in Peyton.
I love it. I'm ready. I got a good one, I think, today.
All right.
Okay, you ready? Joe Burrow, who, of course, we're going to see Monday night. He was comeback player of the year in 2021. Only one player has won comeback player of the year in the NFL twice. Can you name that guy?
Alex Smith?
No, good guess. Good guess.
Twice. Dang it.
Is Bobby not doing the show today?
I'm here. I'm thinking.
I don't hear you.
Adrian Peterson?
I will tell you, he was a quarterback.
Oh, it's quarterback.
He was a quarterback.
It was, I don't know. I'm like completely blanking on this one.
You know who knows.
Vince Ferragamo.
What decade?
Ryan Tannehill.
What decade?
Decade of the 2000s.
2000s.
Kurt Warner.
Matt
No, not a
Stafford.
good guess.
Pepe.
No.
So you got to go back to 2006 and 2008. Chad Pennington.
Oh,
The Jets and the
Noodle
Dolphins.
Arm. Noodle Arm, yeah.
I feel like this is a dumb award anyway, but that's another segment. I feel like we're very inconsistent with. Is it the most gruesome injury that you step back on the field for? Right. Is it you had a down year?
Right.
You're exactly right. And I kind of had to fill Peyton in a little bit and say, he was a good quarterback. I thought he was a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But I said he was hurt a lot, as evidenced by the fact that he won the comeback player of the year twice.
Babe, did Chad Pennington have the weakest arm you've ever seen for a successful guy? Who else is in that running?
Gosh, he's right up there. Brad Johnson did not have a great arm, but obviously was a good NFL player.
Yeah.
There's a few guys like that. But again, Pennington hurt his shoulder, and I don't think it was ever quite the same after.
Yeah.
But I always liked Chad Pennington. Really did.
That's a really good question, Babe.
Oh, there we go.
What do you make of all the McCarthy return talk here as of late?
I'm just kind of tickled because 1 minute, after like 2 losses, he was gone. There's no way he's coming back. And then all of a sudden, we're discussing, the owner's talking, the former Hall of Fame quarterback is talking, his own quarterback is talking. Yeah. Everybody wants him back. So I don't know what's going to happen, and I honestly do not like to get into predictions of people getting fired and putting percentages on it. But it's an interesting – I don't think the conversation, quite honestly, should have ever been brought up in the first place.
Well, that was us that did it.
Well, no, but I just mean I understand the converse. Let me rephrase that.
Please do.
Well, I understand the conversation comes up, but I mean, you look at the last 3 years. It's the only team that's won 12 games in each of the last 3. Kansas City hasn't done it. So, I mean, when you've got a coach that's winning 12 games a year, hey, Mike Tomlin. I know the playoffs. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in 7 years. 7 years. His name doesn't get discussed. Matter of fact, he got an extension, and I'm all for it. Trust me. I mean, I think he's a heck of a coach. The Steelers do things the right way, but he hasn't won a playoff game in 7 years. So the notion that McCarthy hasn't got to the Super Bowl, that happens. The one thing you have to guard against is you get to the end of the year and you say, well, we lost our quarterback. We lost Dak. They were 3-5 when they had Dak, and we're not playing good football.
Right.
They had Mike at that time. So you can't, at the end of the season, delude yourself into thinking, gosh, if we had Dak. It's a little bit like Cincinnati. They've got Joe Burrow. So they cannot sit here when they miss the play. Because you say, no, you had one, and he had about as good a year as any quarterback going.
Babe Laufenberg joining us here on 105.3 The Fan. And I'll get to Burrow here in a second, but you mentioned, because Dak talked, and he talked about Mike, and then Mike said, I hadn't heard that. How much do players hear what is said in the media from coaches, players? Like, how much do they actually hear, and how much do they just really have no idea about?
When you said Mike said he hadn't heard that?
Yeah, McCarthy said, because Dak talked about, on his terms,
Right.
It'd be great to have him back, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think you heard that. I think that word gets back to you. Don't you?
I do, yeah. I was just wondering, do players actually hear stuff? But I guess they do.
You know what's funny? I'll go back to when I was playing. Totally different world. No social media, all that stuff. As Shan might point out, the newspapers were written on tablets, as opposed to paper. But so I made it a point not to read the paper. But people would come to you and say, "Wow, did you see what so and so wrote about you, or did you see this?" So they always. That word always filters back to you, and especially in today's world, it's instantaneous. But but I think the other part of that is the quarterback, for the most part, is going to support that head coach, and the head coach is going to, for the most part, support his quarterback, provided that you don't have some crazy situation where the coach is incompetent or the quarterback sucks, right? Because I always say, you pick up a media guide, there's only two people in that entire media guide who have their records next to their name, and it's the coach and the quarterback. So you're joined at the hip.
Can
go ahead.
Sorry, can you remember a quarterback having as good of a year as Burrow while playing on a team with as bad of a record?
I really can't, because I know they don't come from losing teams, but you can make the argument that Joe Burrow, it's the player of the year. You really could. He's got 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's carrying his team. They just have no defense. It's crazy. They've allowed 34 points 6 times this year. 34. He's carrying the team, but he's carrying them to right now a losing record. But how about this? Bengals have lost 3 straight. They've lost 4 of their last 5, and they're 6-point favorites on the road Monday night. I don't know how many times that has happened.
Yeah.
Babe, when you look at it, though, you talk about how good their offense has been relative to the defense, giving up a lot of points and struggling in that front. How many points do you think it's going to take from Dallas to be able to win this game? Is this something where we're looking at, hey, you're going to need to at least put up 30? I stunned him.
Oh, hello?
There we go.
Hello?
Yeah, babe. Hi.
Sorry, I lost you there. I heard how many points?
How many points does Dallas need to score to be able to win this game? Are we looking at 30 as a baseline?
Looking at it, you would say yes, but I always say you play the game that's presented to you that day. And how many times have we seen where we think it's going to be a high-scoring game and it turns out low-scoring, or vice versa? But just the way Cincinnati has been playing offense, you want to say you got to get to 30. The Cowboys have only got to 30 twice so this year, and both times they've needed special teams touchdowns, right? They scored 30 against Cleveland. They had a punt return touchdown there. Scored 30 against Washington. They had 2 kickoff return touchdowns. They had 28 last week against the Giants, but that was with an interception return touchdown. So they're going to have to manufacture points somewhere. Special teams have obviously, they're dynamic with Turpin, but I think you got to get to 30. But again, you play the game that's presented to you that day. In terms of, don't go in thinking, okay, we gotta go for it on 4th and 2 at our own 10 because we got to score 30. So hopefully you can keep it under control a little bit, but we'll see. Cincinnati is, as we know, is really outstanding offensively, and I love their little running back, Chase Brown. He's been fantastic.
Babe, explain to us what Mike Zimmer has been doing on the film and the X's and the O's to help with this turnaround. We know they got Bland back. We know they got Micah back. I know all about players, blah, blah, blah. But, how good of a coaching job has this turnaround been from Zimmer? What are you seeing?
Well, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I don't think you could say, well, I know they got Micah back and I know they got Bland back, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I mean, that's why they were bad. They were really down to their.
But they were bad with them. They were bad with Micah. To your Dak point.
They were. It was to me, it was a weird year defensively, and I know we're not finished with it, but how many guys did they bring in after training camp started? I mean, veteran players, right? I mean, they just weren't really constructed to play the type of defense Mike Zimmer played for a good reason. He wasn't here. They were constructed to play the kind of defense that Dan Quinn played, which meant we're going to play two linebackers, and one of them is going to be basically a safety. So I think they had a tough transition from that. But no, they're definitely playing better. The players get used to the scheme and what Zimmer wants or expects from them, I think. But, they're off to a horrific start. And as you said, with Tank, with Micah, they were just getting bludgeoned. But they're getting guys back. They seem to be playing the defense better. And also, as you know, players have to get used to Zimmer's system, but Zimmer also has to get used to the players. Are we asking this guy, whoever this guy is, to do something that he can't? And I think really, in a big part, you see the usage, to me, of Overshown and Donovan Wilson. Those guys, as the season has progressed, have really started to flourish in this system. And again, Zimmer's figuring out what to do with Overshown. So, there is a little play in that, but again, I just don't think they were constructed at the start of the season, or even to this day, to play the kind of defense schematically that Zimmer wants to play.
We only got 30 seconds. I'm going to finish this with reverse trivia.
Okay.
RJ and Bobby, you guess one of the top 3 songs on Babe Laufenberg's Spotify Wrapped. Babe, you will judge their answers. Choppy, you start off.
Thunder Road.
Freebird.
And now each of you give me an artist.
Oh, it's Bruce.
Oh, yeah, Bruce makes a ton of sense, so I won't say that. Stevie Ray Vaughan.
15 seconds, Babe. What's the Spotify rap look like?
Well, let me just say, if I hear Freebird one more time, I'll tear my eyeballs out. You know how they say, what song is it you want to hear at the start of the live thing? It's not that one anymore.
But Bruce is one.
Bruce is 1, Bob Dylan 2, maybe Jackson Browne 3. And if I had one song to hear for the rest of my life, it would undoubtedly be Like a Rolling Stone, Bob Dylan.
The great Babe Laufenberg on the D&M Leasing Hotline. Have a great call in Cincy in Arlington. And no need to say have a safe trip. Oh, have a safe trip out there to Arlington.